Twisted here with the Open Sorcery, and today is the 22nd day of February 2022. Now, today we're going to be doing something a little bit different because today is a bit of a different day. Usually when it comes to videos getting released on this channel, the scheduling agreements between Devi, and others that were involved is that we do it every Wednesday, every week, and, have like a backlog and all that prepared and all that sort of thing. But today, because of the day, I just felt compelled to go ahead and make a video about it impromptu and just go ahead and speak on the significance of it. And for those who may not necessarily be aware, now, truth be told, for those who are aware of numerology, aware of angel numbers, aware of tarot and astrology, to whatever extent, you may already know what it's all about. But once again, today is February 22nd, 2022, or when we look at it just numerologically, 2/22/2022. And with that, it goes ahead and creates an ambigram, which I believe is being able to see a number reflect itself forwards and backwards. And with that, it comes with the idea, the notion, that there is a special power within today, especially particularly at the time of 22/22 when looking at military time, which is, 10/22 for those who are using the 12-hour theme clock as opposed to the 24-hour one, where it's cut in half between AM and PM. So with that, pretty much I want to go ahead and elaborate and speak on the significance of what sort of energy this day has, what sort of energy this gate has for anyone who is utilizing this to, go ahead and improve themselves in some way, shape, or form. Now, when it comes to the number 2 in of itself, that has to do with intuition. That has to do with the feminine principle and aspect. Going ahead and looking inward to yourself. And that is tied in with the Priestess Tarot card. So when we look at the hero's journey, or shall I say the fool's journey, when it comes to the Major Arcana, the first card in of itself is the Fool, right? And that's numbered 0. When you actually get to which one is labeled number 2, so it's the third actually overall, but it's number 2, that is the High Priestess. And just in line with the theme of the number 2, it is all about intuition. It is all about looking within oneself to go ahead and find out what it is you need to know. Find out, hey, look, what is it that I am needing to do in order to progress spiritually? And tapping in with that divine feminine, whereas the, second overall card, but the number 1 numerologically in the tarot is the Magician, which is tapping into the masculine magical essence of oneself. So with that, general understanding and basis of the number 2, then when we get to 22, right, that is a doubling, so that's a doubling in power, in energy of that, and it is a master number in of itself, which also has to go ahead and do with the ending of cycles, so on. Which, when we look at the tarot, the Major Arcana itself, that is reflected with the World. Now, the World is 21 on its actual card indication, right? So we started with 0 with the Fool in terms of the numbers that I listed on the card, and we get to the last one in the progression, the last in the cycle, which is the World. So while it's listed as 21, it's actually 22 in the overall order. And with that, the world is about completion. It's about, the earth. It's about ending that cycle, starting the cycle again, and going ahead and being able to refresh oneself, being able to feel that wholeness, that completeness, like, hey, look, I've gone through what I need to in this particular phase of my journey. Now it's time to open a new chapter with returning to the full once again. And then with, 222, that is usually seen as angel numbers a lot of times by people, as signs of, oh, you know what, tap into your spiritual essence, tap into oneself, that divine feminine energy, that energy of being able to see things clearly, within oneself. Not looking, you can see external signs of it, but once again, it's about trusting your intuition, however it may manifest. Say it's that gut feeling you have, or whatever the case may be, as your particular indicators. And then, if we go ahead and we add up all the numbers together, so, for today's date, we have 2/22/2022, right? So if we section off into threes into the two angel numbers in triplicity of 222, then we get ourselves 444. And when it comes to 444 in of itself, that one right there, just one moment, we'll go ahead and pull up the one quote from a site to go ahead and explain it. 444 brings a reminder to listen to your intuition and to listen for the guidance from your angels, as they're definitely with you, and your connection to the angelic realm is quite strong. Now, this is within the context of it being an angel number, and the source for that particular quote is from askangels.com, I believe. So, all in all, a very powerful gate that we are going to be experiencing, throughout the day, but in the peak, right? I am in the Eastern time zone in the US, and for me, it's coming up on about 5 hours until we hit that, as this time of recording happens. And for other people, in different time zones, that will vary, that will differ, unless you're trying to tap into the, moment of the Eastern time zone. The reason why I bring that up is because, astrologically speaking, the significance of today is that it happens to be the first Pluto return of the United States of America, in that this particular position of Pluto, which apparently occurs approximately every 248 years, has not necessarily occurred since the signing of the Declaration of Independence back in 1776, or particularly July 4th, 1776. So, with that, obviously, for those who know your basic history that you learned in history class, for those Americans out there, pretty much that was the, event that sparked the Revolutionary War, in the sense of not with, violent conflict, but making the proclamation to the country of England that held the American colonies as territories, that we're going to branch off and do our own thing. We're going to be independent. We're going to make change for ourselves that we see fit, and codifying that, writing that down on parchments, and having all the founding fathers go ahead and sign it, such as George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, John Hancock, so on and so forth. And pretty much the significance of Pluto being that it is, for those who are unaware, the god of the underworld and destruction and anything else of that nature in the Greco-Roman mythos. So going by the name of Pluto, of course, as well as that of Hades. Now, when we go ahead and look at the story of Hades, right, the wife of Hades is Persephone. And when it comes to Persephone, an entity that both Devi and I have worked with previously to help us go ahead and break cycles, Persephone is an indicator of cycles, in that the whole mythos with her is that half the year she spends it with her mother Demeter, and half the year she goes ahead and spends it with Hades as per an agreement. I definitely go ahead and recommend you look up that mythos. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty or retell the whole thing, but I recommend the site Theoi, that's THEOI.com, to go ahead and listen to that. Well, read the story, I should say. I don't believe there's any audio companion, so that's my missaying, but yes, I definitely recommend that. And, in terms of the Pluto return, that is indicating the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. All in all, what a lot of people are speculating because of this date, because of this gate being opened, is that we are going to see some sort of remarkable change, as time goes on in the near future. And by near future, I mean few years, and with the whole COVID-19 sort of thing going on, it has been a time of change, but this being an energy pushing things forward in that regard to, even faster of a momentum, kind of giving it a kick in the ass. Now, when it comes to how it'll actually go ahead and play out, it can be that of a, in line with the Declaration of Independence, a period of turbulence that leads to further sort of independence, freedom, a positive, beneficial change, not only for us here in the U.S., but for the world at large, because of the different sort of measures that have been taken, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and pretty much going ahead and different sorts of lockdowns that have been taking place, restricting people's rights, and there being a sentiment of, we're tired of this crap going on. At the same time, there is the possibility, one that I personally do not hope for, but that of a more authoritarian system coming about, and this being the implementation of it, and, truth be told, I have to go ahead and give it a Kanye shrug as to how things will play out, as the saying goes, hindsight is 20/20, the future is not as clear. Now, granted, using these sorts of, esoteric tools such as numerology, tarot, astrology, that we're, tying into comprehending what the significance of today is, you can utilize that to try to forecast the future, but at the same time, you can't be 100% certain. There's always variability. So however probable something may be, there's always different possibilities. And in regards to, this going ahead and playing out, like, okay, what would the paradigm shift be? What exactly would that entail for us moving forward, whether it be more so of a free or a restrictive sort of, means of existence, throughout the planet. That can come by way of utilizing quantum technology as well as decentralized systems such as cryptocurrencies, alt tech, and the rapid advancements in man-made technologies that we're utilizing, virtual reality, which is, being sprung off from video gaming and the immersiveness of that. It can go either way in that sort of polarized manner, you can say. Or, as with anything, nothing is truly from one pole to the next. Like, nothing is completely ever going to just stay static on one side of polarity or the other. There's always an equilibrium, a pendulum swing, you could say, and trying to go ahead and mitigate a balance. There's an ebb and flow to everything, so it's always going to be oscillating and shifting. Nothing is truly ever remaining in place. But, finding a new sort of base, a baseline, you could say, in that sort of regard. So, all in all, that is just my thoughts on the significance of today being 2/22/2022 and what I know of it, And with that, pretty much a wrap. And, I'm going to be putting this out in very short order. So that way, before the actual peak time of the event, the astrological event or numerological event, people can potentially have a chance to go ahead and listen to this. And, for those in the future who are wondering, hey, what was the significance of that event? This will be here as an explanation or some sort of idea to give context as to what, occurred today, energetically speaking. So, with that, I am Twisted with Open Sorcery once again, and stay frosty, Neguses. Peace.